Hi everybody, it's Richard here again and welcome to another video. Now way back in 1988, whenever I was a student, my brother bought this album here, the Traveling Wilburys Volume 1. Now I remember seeing this in his bedroom and thinking those guys look familiar, and obviously it was Jeff Lynne, Tom Petty, Roy Orbison, George Harrison and Bob Dylan. Now, I liked every one of those artists, although I didn't really know Tom Petty at the time. So I taped it and I took it away to college with me. And I played this thing to death. And I mean to death. I still do like the album, but I did get sick of it. But yeah, loved it. And I couldn't wait for the next album to come out. And in 1991, this one came out. Traveling Wilburys Volume 3. And I thought, oh, hold on a minute. Has there been a volume 2 that I've missed? And it really annoyed me that they called their second album volume 3. Now this album I didn't think was as good as the first one, although I would tend to play this one a lot more than the first one now. But around that time, from around the late 80s to the early 90s, Jeff Lynne was producing a lot of those Wilburys himself, their solo albums, apart from Bob Dylan. So I'm sure a lot of people have done this. Because there has been no volume 2, they've made their own volume 2 from the solo material, and that's what I'm going to do today. Now I've heard that Tom Petty's Full Moon Fever is the official volume 2, but I think that's rubbish. I think it's just a solo album. So my volume 2 is going to consist of 12 songs. Now the first album had 10, the second had 11, but I'm putting 12 in this. And I'm trying to make it as even as possible with around 2 each. So first up, and the first song to open side 1 is George Harrison and It's Poor Little Girl, which opens this Best of Dark Horse. I think it's a really good song. It's got the same sort of tempo as Handle With Care. I think it's every bit as good as Handle With Care. But yeah, I don't know if this was written pre Cloud 9 or after Cloud 9, whether it was hanging about or whatever, but it's a great little number and deserves to get on volume 2 of the Wilburys. Second track, and a more familiar song, and it's from Tom Petty, and it's I Won't Back Down, the second song off this. Now this is the first single to come from this album, and it got top 30, so I think it's his biggest single in the UK to date, but this is just pure Traveling Wilburys. I think most of them are on it, apart from Roy Orbison. I'm not even sure if Bob Dylan's on it, but certainly George Harrison and Jeff Lynne are on it, and I think Ringo's on this as well. So yeah, that's the second song on side 1. The third song on side 1, I'm going to give it to Jeff Lynne's Don't Let Go from his Armchair Theatre album. Now the reason I'm picking this one is it's like a little rockabilly number, a little bit similar to Rattled from the first album, but it's a better song than Rattled, and there's lots of backing vocals in this as well that the rest of the Wilburys could get involved with. So yeah, this is my third track off side 1. Now my fourth song off side 1 is actually an outtake from the Wilburys' first album. You can find it on this here little triple box set. I think it's 2 CDs and 1 DVD, and the track is Maxine, which is a very melodic acoustic track, which I think George Harrison wrote. Well, he certainly takes the lead vocals on it anyway. It's really good, and I don't understand why it didn't make the original album. It should have. It's up there. So it's the fourth track. Fifth track, and from an album I do not like, but I really like this song. It's Under the Red Sky from Bob Dylan's album of the same name. It's the only decent song off this, I think. But yeah, this is a really excellent song. Now if this was to get on the album, I think Jeff Lynne would have to take it and maybe reproduce it again, just to make sure it sounds a little bit more like the rest of the songs. Even though on its own, I've made this CD, on its own it still sounds fine, but I still think it needs that little sort of Wilbury dust, magic dust put on top of it, just to lift it a little bit. So it's the fifth song on side 1. And the sixth on side 1, and the closing one is from Roy Orbison, and I'm going to give it to Heartbreak Radio, which is a Frankie Miller song. Now this is a little bit of a rocker, a little bit of a gentle rocker for Roy. It's not a big rocker, it's just a gentle one, and it makes a change from him singing the ballads all the time, and it's a really, really good song. It was a single itself in 1992, I believe, so that closes off side 1. Okay, we flip over to side 2, and it opens with the magnificent Every Little Thing by Jeff Lynne. I know there's horns in this, and you don't get horns in Traveling Wilburys songs, but the song is so good, and they can sing in the chorus. It's a really excellent song. It's a wee bit different, so yeah, definitely put this on as the opener. Love it, and it's the best song Jeff Lynne had written in ages. I think it's just because it's so different. So Every Little Thing opens side 2. And then the second track on side 2 is Free Falling from Full Moon Fever. Now I know this is a huge hit in America. It failed here, didn't do well at all. So I'm not fed up with this song at all. I think it's magnificent and definitely gets on as a second track. Third track, and from George again, is Cheer Down. Now I believe this song had been sitting around for a while. I think it was actually part of a TV show. I'm not too sure, was it Miami Vice or something? Could be completely wrong. But it's a typical George Harrison song. It's good. I don't think it's fantastic, but it is good. But it still deserves to get on. And that's the third track on side 2. Then the fourth track is another outtake from the debut album, and it's Like a Ship. Now this one has Bob Dylan on lead vocals, and whenever it starts off you think, oh my god, that's terrible, but bear with it because it actually turns out to be a pretty good song with a really good short chorus where the rest of the Wilburys come in, and it's a little bit like Congratulations in tempo, but I really do like it, and so it gets the fourth track on side 2. And the fifth on side 2 is Roy Orbison again, and it's the big hit You Got It, which was written by Jeff Lynne and Tom Petty. This is a fantastic song, and it really does show off Roy's voice, because Jeff Lynne was very, very good at that, because he was the one I think that wrote Not Alone Anymore off the first one for Roy. And this is excellent. It was a top 10 hit for him in 1989. So that's the fifth track. And then the album finishes with their cover of Nobody's Child, which was for the Romanian Angel Appeal back in 1990. Yeah, it's a bit cheesy, but I really do like it. It's an acoustic number with harmonica and so forth, but good track, and I think the Beatles covered this way back in their Hamburg days as well. I believe it was on the Star Club or Tony Sheridan or something like that. But I think this is a really good song, and I bought this whenever it came out. So that finishes off the album. So that's my Traveling Wilburys Volume 2. So it can sit snugly between Volume 1 and Volume 3. So if you agree with me or you disagree with my choices, stick them in the comments below. Okay, that's me for now. Hope you enjoyed that, and I hope to have another video quite soon. All the best now. Bye bye.